Oh man. Hello family, welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. Come on in, kings and queens, to the conversation. You're watching my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. If you are new to the conversation, new to my channel, I know you're going to hear something that you want to share. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. I'm multicasting on various platforms, my YouTube channel, Facebook Live, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So if you are returning, thanks again for taking time out of your day to check out what is Steffanie talking about today. So today, here's what we're talking about. Now that we know which teams are going to the Super Bowl, that's going to be in a few weeks, February 13th, it's time to focus on who should be hired to fill those head coaching jobs and front office positions for teams that have vacancies. So that's our subject today. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Steffanie Rivers, and I want justice for Breonna Taylor because the police officers involved showed reckless disregard for her life and the lives of her neighbors. Her. So you're saying she essentially died on the floor right there?
The second that she got shot, she was.
Family, did the city of Birmingham, did anybody say, did the church, did anybody say there's more to
Welcome to the conversation. You're watching my video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers, and today we're talking about those Super Bowl caliber coaches who make it all happen behind the scenes. So as of this weekend, there are 5 teams searching for head coaches. Now, some other teams have front office positions available, but right now I want to focus on the head coaches. Those teams that are looking for head coaches are the New Orleans Saints, because Sean Payton retired, I guess you could say, and Jacksonville Jaguars, they fired Urban Meyer over some other stuff that was going on off the field as well as on the field. And then Brian Flores was fired by the Miami Dolphins, and Houston Texans fired their head coach just after one season. He was the oldest head coach that had been hired ever in the NFL. They didn't give him much time. Now, since most of the standout players in the NFL, much like the college ranks, are African American, team owners should have no problems hiring a black coach, a head coach, to run those teams, because you've already got the optics are, and if the coaches are qualified, that you shouldn't have a problem hiring black head coaches to run your team from the field. But it seems like most, if not all, of the owners have an issue with it, because if they didn't have an issue with it, we would see more black head coaches and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But apparently there's a problem, and that's why we're having the conversation. Now, I live in Dallas, Texas, Cowboys fan. I work out at this place called Cowboy Fit. And it's run by the Dallas Cowboys organization. So one of the people I work out with works with the Dallas Cowboys, and he introduced me. He told me this, and you know how you know some things, but you just don't verbalize it, and it takes somebody to put it into words, and you're like, that's probably the way it really is. So this person told me that white people in general don't have a problem working with anybody. They'll work with anybody as long as the white people are the ones that are in charge. They want the optics of being in charge. So that's why, they don't have a problem hiring you. They know that, they're going to sign Black players because a lot of them are better players than anybody else. And they're going and they have better work ethics for whatever reason they perform. So they don't mind giving them the contracts. They don't mind hiring assistant head coaches, but putting Black people in the head coach leadership position, most white people are going to have a problem with that because they always want the optics of being in charge. And if you look at how things are in everyday life, if you look at how it is in pro sports, that rings true. And if they do give a Black man, in this case, because we're talking about the NFL, if they do give a Black man a chance to be head coach, they're going to give you a short leash. That means you're going to have little to no room for error. And if you mess up, you're out of there. And I don't remember the head coach's name of the Houston Texans, but I believe he was the 65-year-old guy. He's a Black guy, and they gave him a year. He didn't get it together, or they gave him one season, and he didn't get it together. They didn't make it to the playoffs, and he was out of there. So even though NFL hiring mandates under what's called the Rooney Rule, the Rooney Rule says that for diversity's sake, that if you are hiring for a front office or head coaching position, you have to interview at least 2 diversity candidates. That means 2 non-white people, basically, that they have to hire, that they have to interview. It says nothing about who you have to hire. And so it used to be up until last year, for the past, let's say 15 years, you only had to interview 1 diversity candidate. But now they've raised it to 2 diversity candidates. So whether it just doesn't, mandate that they hire the person, they just have to interview the person. So if I was hiring a head coach, or I was interviewing for head coaching positions for the pro team, or if I was hiring for the front office, I would want my pool of candidates to come from people who are winners with other teams, that are winners. They have a proven track record of being winners. That just makes common sense, let alone business 101 sense. So yet none of the 5 teams with head coach openings seem to be looking at the Black assistant coaches from the 4 teams that just got finished vying to go to the Super Bowl. The 4 coaches that came from the coaches that came from the 4 teams. That will be the Kansas City Chiefs. That will be the Cincinnati Bengals. That will be the Los Angeles Rams. That would be the San Francisco 49ers. It seems like you would want to hire Black coaches or coaches, period, from those teams. But for some reason, the Black coaches on those teams have been left off the interview roster, at least up until now, because sometimes they talk about, well, we don't want to interview those people or let those people, distract them with interview prospecting while they're still in the run for the Super Bowl. And that makes sense. But then that means you should delay hiring for the next season until the Super Bowl is over. So why is it that there are 2 teams already that have gone ahead and filled their head coaching openings even though they didn't get to interview candidates from the people who were still in the running for the Super Bowl, the ones who were more qualified, in my opinion, in the opinion of anybody with common sense and a little business sense. Okay, so they went ahead and hired, so which means they weren't really looking to hire the best anyway. They just put somebody in a position. So those black men that were a part of the 4 teams vying to go to the Super Bowl and the 2 teams that are still going to the Super Bowl, they are should be the likely candidates to get chosen to be interviewed and to get hired. So from the list of candidates who have been revealed for interviewing for some of those head coaching jobs that I recognize as being black men, there's 3 of them. One is Byron Leftwich. I know he's a former NFL quarterback. He is the offensive coordinator at the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are now out of the running. Then you've got Hines Ward. He is a former wide receiver with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that was the one with the little dimple in his chin, the little cute dimple. I know Hines Ward. I don't know if he's the one with the dimple, but I know he is now an assistant coach at a college. He's in the running for the head coach of the Houston Texans. And then you've got Aaron Glenn. He is the defensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions. And so he will be interviewing to fill the position of Sean Payton, who left the Saints. So those are the only 3 black assistants or black men who are being announced as interview worthy for head coaching positions. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel so that when I post new videos, you will be the first to know. So some of the black assistant head coaches who are either with the Kansas City Chiefs or the Bengals or the Rams or the 49ers, those are the ones who should be considered to lead their own teams, because they have built records of years of experience, and they obviously know what they're doing behind the scenes, because they're helping these players on the field to get to the position where they can take their teams to the Super Bowl. So it only makes sense that they should be considered. At least they haven't been announced as being candidates as they should be. So we'll see coming up this week if some of them get interviewed. Now, if you live in any of the cities that I mentioned who are looking for head coaches, you should be asking, why is it that they are filling these positions with other people who don't have the experience and don't have the winning track record as these black head coaches? Okay, we need to speak up and speak out. If we're going to sit in front of the TV and pay attention and buy their jerseys and all of that, then we need to know why we can't have representation in the coaching position, in the front office position, especially if they end up hiring somebody who doesn't deserve it, because they don't have the experience and the winning record as these coaches. Now, let's go to some of these coaches. So when I did a recent video about how John Gruden, they fired him over those emails and his off-field behavior issues that he was having, and I said that they'll give John Gruden another chance before they give a black man one chance. So let's watch out for that. Let's see if they end up giving John Gruden one of these head coaching positions instead of giving these people who I'm about to go over. So the first one we're going to talk about is Eric Benini. me move that out of the way. Eric Benini. He is trying to keep the reflection off. Eric Benini, he is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. So he has been there and for 9 seasons. 9 seasons. A lot of people say that Eric Benini is the reason that the Kansas City Chiefs have been on the come up for the past few years because of his work with May Holmes and the whole offensive line. And that's why he should be in the running for a head coach position because he know what the hell he doing. Okay. Now let's look at who did they play? They played the Bengals. So the Bengals coach is that I think should be considered for a head coaching position is Steve Jackson. Steve Jackson. He is the cornerbacks, secondary and cornerbacks coach. He's got 17 years of experience as an assistant coach, y'all. And he's from Houston, Texas, up the street. 18 years, actually. 18 years of experience. And he's only been with the Bengals 1 year, but he's been around for 17 years. Why is he not getting considered for and he might be the reason why they're doing such an awesome job and made it to the Super Bowl this year. You know, Cincinnati ain't been to the Super Bowl since I was in high school or something. That was a long time ago. But you know, he could be the reason. So he's been around for some reason they keeping him around. He must be good at what he does. Okay. So let's look at the San Francisco 49ers. Their special teams coordinator. I was going to talk about him last, but since I already have him up, he is Richard Hightower. Now, see, when I was doing this practicing, that circle was not on this thing. Now, all of a sudden, it's on there. Richard Hightower. He is a special teams coordinator. And you see, he's got 14 years of experience. Now, it says that this dude is so good that the 49ers kicking unit ranked first in NFL in field goals made, 102 field goals in 2 seasons. And that was under his tutelage. And they have the fourth in field goal percentages at 89.5%. So this guy knows what he's doing. Why can't he get a shot at being the head coach? And then last but not least, we've got the Los Angeles Rams, who their defensive coordinator. Okay, Steph. Okay, that's good right there. Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator for the Rams, is 19 years experience. Y'all, these people have been around for some time, and they deserve to be given an opportunity and given the opportunity to be head coach of somebody's team, because most of the time when things are going right, the people that you're looking at as the people you're giving the credit to are not the ones who are all the reason behind. It's normally somebody behind the scenes making it happen that is the reason why things are going well. Trust and believe, if they weren't winning, they would have fired them a long time ago. So the fact that they've been around for 19 years, 18 years, 9 years, and 14 years, that says something about their record. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you will be the first to know. Now, just like I know you're probably thinking, well, you can't make people hire people. You can't make people there are some rules and regulations that have to be adhered to, especially when you're dealing with public funding and public tax money. And a lot of these teams, they go into a city, they they get money from the city through taxes and bonds to build these stadiums and what have you. And so because you're using tax dollars and everybody pays taxes, then there's some rules and regulations that have to be adhered to. So company owners do though have the right to run their organizations the way they want to, and team owners, they have a right to run their organization like they want to. Yet they do have some stipulations, regulations that they got to go by, just like I said. But their past performance of overlooking Black head coaches is an indication of how they think and an indication of how they're going to do business in the future. And let me ask you this. If you had a job, and in that job, you've been there for 10, 15 years, and you have done everything you can to make that company successful. You've hired the right people. Those people have brought in the contracts. Those people have completed the contracts, and y'all have come together as a team, and you did projects, and the projects were successful and they made money for the company. Yet every year that an opening happened, you were overlooked for the promotion and the more money in your check and the more responsibility. How long would it take you before you would be like, look, I'm about to either go somewhere else, or I'm about to start a competing company up the street, and then I'm gonna, since I already know everything you're doing over here, I'm gonna go over there and do it better over there. I'm listening because somebody's car alarm is going off. Anyway, it's not mine. Anyway, so how long would it take for you to move on? It shouldn't take you another 10 or 15 years, especially after you have stated your case and and they keep giving you the same runaround. So here's what I'm thinking. These Black professional athletes and these Black assistant coaches, they have the experience, they have the money, they have the knowledge to create their own league. And it's time for them to realize their demands for being recognized and getting equal opportunity to be head coaches is never going to happen for most of them who deserve it. It might happen for one or two. It's just like this, and nothing against the Houston Texan dude, because I don't even know him. I don't really keep up with the Texans like that, but that he was in there for one season, and maybe he was on the staff before and he rose up. But here's the thing. You've got Super Bowl caliber people. Eric Benini, the first first offensive coordinator that I showed you with the Kansas City Chiefs, he been around for some years. He been kicking butt over in Kansas City for some years. Why y'all didn't hire him? He has a proven track record. It's like they only give certain people a chance, and then when those people fall through, then they be like, well, we gave so-and-so a chance, but you gave some, I don't know the dude, and I'm not talking about him personally, but you gave somebody who hadn't proven himself to be worthy of that position. And now you want to use him as an example of why you don't give people that position. It's like, come on, it's like they play this game, and the people who really who can really benefit and make a difference in your team, you don't want to put them in that position, because then you got to say to yourself, whether you say it aloud or whether you say it to yourself, that you know what, I was wrong and this person is the best person for the job. And so you'll hire people all day on the field. You'll give people $1 million contracts on the field all day because they're going to bring in $2 million. Trust and believe, if a player is getting a $5 million contract, he bringing in 10 million, okay? Because they're not going to let you bring in, they're not going to give you any more than what they think they can get out of you times 2 at least, okay? So understand that these professional athletes and these coaches who have time and again gotten the short end of the equal opportunity stick, they need to vote with their feet and leave and start their own league. They have the skills, the knowledge, the money to make it happen. And I will support them with my money, being with advertising. I will support them as a spectator, being a, what do they call that when you have a season pass? I would be a season ticket holder. I would do all of that if they jumped out there and did it. And I'm sure I would not be the only person. So sometimes we sell ourselves short by thinking that we have to keep looking for somebody else to help us to get to the level that we're trying to get to, when really we need to just we need to pull our efforts and depend on each other. And that's it. So to find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal. It's at eurweb.com. Thanks, and you have a super day.